SSG to win. XSET have looked and have, in my opinion, earned the worst place team in NA so far. I don't know what is going on with that team, if I'm being completely frank. Outside of creators, there have been very minimal bright spots on this team. Both Filthy and Butters have underperformed on the roles that they are on. There has been a lack of supporting cast for this team. And I mean, hey, I understand. You're a relatively new team, you come in, and the new teams take some time to adapt to different teams and different setups, etc. And of the new look of the teams, Beast Coast and XSET are currently 8th and 9th to start off the day. The one exception to that has been Mirage, who is currently in 3rd after the walloping that they put on the Sonics in the previous matchup. So I understand that these teams are going to struggle. I get that they're going to struggle. They try to find their footing, they try to find some cohesion and chemistry, etc. But my expectation today coming in is that Spacestation is going to be the better team. They're going to win. XSET have not won on this map. They've played it twice. They lost it both times to Mirage and OXG. SSG's played it twice. They've only won it once. So we'll see. I mean, my expectations were very much off the mark for our first matchup. So,
and you know, who knows? Today could be the day of upsets. We'll find out. I do, and I said this in my little piece on XSET earlier. I do think that XSET has the formula. I think they've got it, secret sauce. But they have not found the way to properly incorporate it into this dish yet. I think it's, you know, could be now, could be later. But whatever the case be, I agree with you that SSG has slight edge going into this match. For now, it'll be defense first. The ban's done. Thatcher and Maverick banned out. So we're talking about hellish attacks. I mean, that's worse than the last match. Last match, it was Maverick and Habana. With Maverick and Thatcher being banned, that means that you've got no way to deny something on a wall other than, you know, going on the other side of that wall and shooting that or throwing an explosive over when there's that opportunity. But on Clubhouse, there's not a lot of those opportunities. So this will be an interesting one for the attack.
this upstairs gym window peek that we saw from Grixer and then later from Yeti in match number 1, and now we are seeing as well from the Vigil of Butters, has been a popular one. Whether it's played off of a Valkyrie cam that's tossed out, potentially even being played off of a default cam, which you'd think teams at this level would shoot, but not always the case. We have seen teams in every single region neglect to shoot an outside default cam, and it doesn't always work out in their favor. Thinking Aid tries to enter over by Jim, by the way, and this window, it all started with that damn window. Filthy, the very first pick.
Yeah, away he goes, thinking Nade not going to be able to clear out the roamers that dispatched him already. That Jackal ineffective, not an ideal result, obviously, but you've got some opportunities still to clear out. You've still got some great gunners on SSG. The aggressive play from XSET, I like to see. I know that it's definitely it's a situation where you don't necessarily need to because of the bans on attack, but why not? They're working as well, or at least they were working until creators. First casualty for XSET goes down. Great read there from Fultz that brings his team into contention once again. And SSG has pretty efficiently cleared out most of the roamers. But there's still 2 above they need to deal with. That's Butters and Filthy that have to be confronted.
Rampy starts the day off in 6th place in terms of rating. His KD is pretty good. He's plus 12. His entry is a plus 16. And now technically, I don't know exactly the formula they use, but I mean, Rampy was able to enter there quite successfully, taking out creators in the process. Down goes Filthy, and Butters looking for more. He gets 2 downs, but downs don't quite count. Rampy will get picked up by Fultz, and there's retrieval on the horizon for Luke as well. 45 seconds left. XSET will now do some site construction to try to hold off the execute. Drip on this angle. He had some problems with this mirror window and leaning the wrong way in previous matchups, but now he's going to be staring at the bottom of main stairs. You can see that's where SSG is going to come from. They have 30 seconds left, actually less than 30 seconds to make something happen. Luke gets blown sky high as the nitro cell. Might as well be dynamite from Thomas is tossed up inside of the kitchen. Both Rampy and Bosco have taken some damage. Rampy obviously getting picked back up. Luke was on just a hair of HP. Yokai drones could potentially still be in play here too. And you don't need a Yokai drone for Drip to take matters into his own hands. Down goes Fultz and XSET find themselves in a 2v1. Bosco is inside of escape tunnel and, well, it's XSET who's going to escape the round with a victory. They take the very first defense here in Clubhouse.
Okay, something's got me excited, Parker, and I might just be reading a little bit too much into it. But you know how we've been talking about throughout the stage that since Canadian's departure, SSG's attacks have been just a little bit too slow? I think XSET have read into that. I think it's pretty clear to me, actually, that they've read into that because they didn't play your typical roam off-site. They played a much more committed roam. Look at that. Look, see where Butters dies there in the replay? 50 seconds left on the clock. Most roamers would have fallen back 20 seconds earlier in the round. Taken the 1 minute or two that they delayed, been like, all right, yeah, fine, we're happy with that. We'll go ahead and retreat now. XSET did not do that, and they didn't care how many bodies they lost upstairs. Butters almost closed that out on the roam. He did a lot of damage. He unfortunately couldn't get the kills for him, but that's, it is what it is. But it says to me that XSET are aware of how slow Space Station's executes are, and they are intent on not letting those executes get set up in the first place. I mean, we even saw Jackal being brought by SSG to try and counteract that effect, by the way. Jackal, what does he do? He speeds up your roam clear. He allows you more time in the round. And with him being picked off earlier, that whole theory for XSET was made much more viable because, well, you don't have a Jackal. Everything kind of just came together for XSET there. Despite their man disadvantage, they still were slotted to win that round for most of the round, in my opinion.
10 seconds to insertion.
XSET are a team that we have struggled to define because some games they look quite sharp, some games they look quite scrappy, and some games they kind of look a little lost. And I mean, it varies round by round and defense and attack by defense and attack. XSET are a much stronger team on defense than they are on attack. And Clubhouse is a map that is much stronger for the defenders than it is on attack. Obviously, the last map that we just saw notwithstanding. But the question is going to be, and I will go back to it, this is the third day of a super week. Teams will be playing on default maps. I predicted that we'd see a lot of Oregon in Clubhouse so far. This is our second Clubhouse, so it's not that much of a surprise. The aggression from XSET could really pay off, and I think you nailed it. If you realize that SSG takes a painfully and abysmally long time to clear, then challenge them. Engage early on. Catch them off guard.
There it is.
XSET are in the process of doing that. This is a full court press onto the entry from SSG. Fultz is now gone. Filthy finds the opening pick for his team.
It's, and this time, Parker, they don't even have the Jackal. They didn't bring him. They've instead brought a Capitao. So, it's made much worse. And the extension is working out for XSET. What isn't working out for XSET is the bandit tricking. Drip will go down, and with him, his bandits, meaning the wall gets opened up. Now, that's curious that they would bring bandit. Thatcher and Maverick are banned. So Kaid is in... Oh, it will also banned out by SSG. Still, you can play the active aim. A mute would also be an option. It's definitely going to get countered, but it's much safer. Drip on the floor is not a great start, but we've seen XSET recover these rounds despite man disadvantage before. What I'm curious to see is how is SSG going to handle the roamers they know to exist off-site? Are they going to confront them or just try to avoid them? For now, it looks like it's avoid.
Well, you need garage control if you want to flush out anybody who's playing on rafters. It's going to be the primary focus here, thinking it is the can opener as it's referred to in his pocket. And, well, the fire rises. Butters, not quite Bane. No, he's more like Tinder or Kindling. Tinder, of course, being a real thing and not just a dating app, by the way, before it was co-opted.
I had to change it to Kindling because of that.
Because people are going to hear Tinder, Michael, and they're going to think, dating! Well, I'm going to swipe left on that reference as fast as I can. Rampy, by the way, has been picked back up. And, well, what looked to be pressure from SSG coming out, well, it's gone. Filthy takes a big opportunity here, and the chance that he takes ends up working out in his favor. Thomas now pushing up on the breach. He's a shotgun in his pocket if he wants to do maximum damage, but the SMG-11 is more than enough. Luke now knocked down Rampy as well on HP. They're both upright, and Luke finds himself in a 1v3, but his position given away by the Banshee as it continues to wub, 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 wub. Almost like it's a dubstep song. but it's a celebratory song for XSET as they pick up their second round.
I'm having flashbacks, Parker. I'm having flashbacks. So SSG are going to take their time out already, and I'm glad they did, because it's going to give me a good opportunity to monologue. The flashbacks that I am having are specifically to F3 back in the day. Old Rainbow Six esports fans are going to know what I'm talking about here, know where I'm going with this. F3 was a team in North America that took an eternity to set up on their execute and did not handle aggression very well. But if they were allowed to set up for their execute, they got their platform, they're ready to launch their attack onto the site, they would absolutely destroy you. But it took teams in NA a very long time to figure this out. And so F3 had a great track record. They were winning until teams figured out, oh, hey, we can just walk into them, take a fight, beat them in that fight, and all of the game plan falls apart for F3. Well, I just saw that in the last round. And another thing, the roam clear, it wasn't a roam clear. The roam clear was like one or two people assuming that the control offsite would be handed to them. And XSET did not hand SSG the offsite control. So it didn't work. I'm having flashbacks, Parker, and F3 is not the only team. I remember early Dark Zero, which was partially old F3. They had the same kind of thing going on, where they couldn't handle the aggression. Now it's happening to very, very late SSG, and it's a weird thing to see again. I haven't seen that happen in a long time.
God, I feel like just saying F3 dates us.
We are old.
Like,
yeah.
Yeah. It is crazy to think that our very first broadcast together was almost 4 years ago. How wild is that?
It's pretty darn.
That is eternity in esports.
Yeah. I've been casting for almost 5 years now. And you've been casting for almost 5 years too, right? Because you started... I think you started right around the same time I did, in a different...
No, you started a little bit before me. My first Rainbow Six cast was sometime in the spring to early summer of 2017. My very first cast ever was an off-stream cast for a Modern Warfare 2 league back in 2010.
So that counts, though.
And then I did some light, fun Highlander casts for a friend's team back in the TF2 days of... And that's Team Fortress 2, the better TF2. None of this Titanfall 2 nonsense.
I was a really good rocket jumper in TF2.
This is the better TF2. Team Fortress 2. I was back, I think, in 2011. I did. And then I basically stopped gaming and stuff like that. Anyway. I just upset the 7 people who actually like Titanfall 2, by the way. Of which one is Blue and the other is Chowderhead. So I apologize.
He's like, Titanfall 2 slander will not be tolerated.
Titanfall 2 is not a bad game. It's just not as good as Team Fortress. There's not a lot of action happening right here, right now, by the way. And in terms of storylines, this is out of the 4 matchups that we have today. This is the match that has probably the lowest stakes of all of our matches today. You're going to hear a lot about narratives. You're going to hear a lot about storylines because, of course, this is the final play day of this stage of NAL. XSET with a win are going to finish last. They cannot overcome the gap that is between them and Beast Coast in 8th. If Spacestation win here now, it's possible that they will vault up standings, but TSM and Dark Zero are ahead of them. And in terms of the tiebreakers, SSG lost to TSM and SSG lost to Dark Zero. So in a strictly head-to-head sense, the best that SSG can get is 6th place, which is 1 above 7. It is a pretty low-stakes match, but every single matchup has stakes because you do get SI points.
That's true. And even though XSET cannot change their fate, they're still trying to put on a performance. You could tell that they've definitely read into how SSG plays the game. I'm smelling a lot of counterplay. I'm feeling like XSET did their homework, and I love to see that. That is one of my favorite things to watch in Rainbow Six Esports. Now, the question is, can SSG surmount that homework that has been done? Now, they've done a really good job already of their hard destruction. Rampy from below had dealt with some of the mute jammers that were on the wall. Now he's going to get rid of one of the evil eyes. Boom. So less info in Jim. He's cutting off rotation to land that shot. Rampy is great at vertical play. Fultz and Rampy now can together push up main stairs, but they're being flanked by Thomas right now. It's all going to come down to the timing. The breach is not going to work out great for SSG, but the flank is stopped by Rampy, who has great awareness. Plant going down, and it doesn't seem like XSET are going to be able to stop it. In fact, no, they will not, but a nice shot from Butters does at least bring this into a 3-on-3. HP is not great for XSET, though. So 3-on-3 doesn't really matter. And look at this post-plant situation. Desperate for the defense. It's possible, however unlikely. Drip has finally reconvened with the rest of his team. Butters, who had the kills for his team through that round, will be shut down. Nice shot from Drip. Rampy on the breach is eliminated. But where are these last two attackers? With only 16 seconds left, there's not a lot of guessing work that can be done here. They're just going to have to hope, and their hopes will be dashed as Fultz takes down Creators. Drip has no chance, and Luke will shut him down from below. SSG get their first round.
Well, hard to tell if the timeout was really the factor there or just simply that it is a bomb site that tends to go in favor of the attackers more than the other two bomb sites that we see. And if you look at Clubhouse, which now has actually leaped over Oregon,
I think it's left.
as the most played map in NAL, you look at Gym Master and it has the lowest success rate for the defense. Now, it still skews towards the defenders. It is a 58% win rate for the defense. Here's another fun fact for you. Clubhouse is the only map in the map pool that hasn't had all four sites played.
Because nobody goes to bar.
Because bar stock is
It
for
is,
limited.
you know, the funny thing about that is that bar stock actually used to be your tertiary site on this map. Pre-rework.
It wasn't the tertiary, Michael. It was the secondary bomb site.
Oh, yeah.
You would go downstairs and then you'd go to bar
and then
stock.
we saw, and then, okay, so it was the secondary for a while, and then it became the tertiary when, actually, F3, we were talking about them earlier. F3 was like, haha, let's go over to the cash side, which at the time was considered to be kind of like a wild thing. Like, nobody did that. I think the site was different back then. I barely remember. So long ago. But, yeah, we had some mix-ups.
Yeah, Cash and Gym or Master, where the bomb site was, and the other one was in Cash. Utter Nightmares, by the way. They added that entire construction
made
part.
it more viable.
And,
That's right, it was open.
Yeah.
It was just open.
You know what actually sold me on this game? It was, I remember it was one of the first times I'd ever played this matchup. And it was on the old Clubhouse when construction didn't exist. So if you wanted to rotate from Master to Cash, you had to double impact those walls. Now, a team was defending. It was casual. It was one of the first times I'd ever played this game. Teams were defending Master, and they reinforced one panel and left the other one soft. I was playing Thatcher. I put one of my breaches down on the soft wall, and a thermite next to me put down his on the fortified wall. And we both hit it, so they exploded at the same time. And then amidst the chaos, we ran in and started killing. And it was just such a unique gaming experience. And to me, that was like, okay, I think I'm going to like this game.
Yeah, I think the game favors those who thrive in chaos and know how to create it in a calculated way. It's nice.
Oh, you think darkness is your ally?
Well, I was born in it. Molded by it.
Raised in it.
I thought it was raised. Was it? Okay, well, whatever. You know what?
I think it's
I'm not good at
regardless. Unlike the previous round, which, by the way, was quite normal. It was SSG taking control of Jacuzzi, walking in, engaging, cutting off flank on red stairs. Oh, no. And another opening pick, by the way, for SSG. Fultz was involved in the first duel back in round 3. Now round number 4 breaks in their favor yet again. Creators has no wherewithal. He was getting droned by a yokai from Drip that was scooting its way around the map. But unfortunately, Fultz is just too quiet.
I do also want to mention how the last round where SSG actually managed to win, part of that was because XSET dialed back their aggression. This round, the aggression didn't work. And that's the risk that you take when you go for those overextensions, placing players in rat spots like that. You still have Filthy upstairs. Butters has gone back to site, though. He's playing, I think, by main stairs. No, Deep Arsenal. So it's really all on Filthy to make the play, be the difference maker in this round. 50 seconds left, so certainly a lot of opportunity. As the clock starts to crawl towards midnight here for SSG, they have to accelerate their plans. He'll fall back to site, which might be it's a very safe call for Filthy to retreat in that situation. It could work. I mean, it's more likely to result in trades on site. We'll see if it pans out. First impact trick will work. Butters does not try for a second, so the drop will likely get opened up.
30 seconds left now. Rampy will go on to drone. Nobody from SSG has been toppled yet, and more of this floor opened up. A better line of sight. Fult's obviously having some issues. I don't know if that's the floor's fault. I don't know, but we're not going to point any fingers here. No blame will be laid. Unfortunately, that could be a fatal blow as Butters just decides to take matters into his own hands. Catches one on the drop and another, but he's dusted off by Bosco. The rest of XSET are able to clean up. Get out the brooms. They sweep Space Station away and out of the bomb site. It was making a sweeping motion. XSET 3-1 on defense at Clubhouse.
So I want to say that that Ash charge not destroying the floor didn't affect the round. I want to say that because there was nobody playing deep in Arsenal, it didn't really matter. That would be lying. The bulletproof camera deep in Arsenal that sees through smokes didn't get destroyed, and the smoke drop as a result from SSG was being full called out by XSET because they couldn't destroy the bulletproof right there. Right there. That bulletproof gave full information for Butters and Thomas, who cleaned up the round despite the smokes. It didn't matter. And it's because the floor didn't open to an Ash charge. I mean, it's not... Okay, I don't think it would have changed the outcome, really. SSG probably were going to lose that round. 15 seconds left. They're rushing through one drop down. No heckin' way they take that. Not going to happen. I'm sorry. But they didn't even get a chance because they were trying to set up the counterplay for the bulletproof camera, and they couldn't. Because, I mean, yeah, sure, you will rotate some other soft destruction, right? Well, they didn't have enough time. So it is what it is. I hate to see it. And it's unfortunate. Anyway, again, I do think XSET would have taken that round, even if that had worked for SSG. It was just, yeah.
Yet again, it was another lethargic attack from SSG.
That's it.
And the thing is, too, is that you don't really see XSET bringing a composition that suits stalling all that well. They don't have 4 players upstairs with rotates, kill holes, hatches opened up, mute jammers, Mozzie pests, vigil roaming everywhere. It took SSG almost 2 minutes to figure out where Creators was playing in billiards and then kill him. The story this season for Space Station, well, I mean, there's a lot of stories, but the big one for me, outside of obviously losing Canadian, is just how slow they are. How slow. And this was something that SSG used to have a big problem with prior to Canadian coming onto this team. They didn't seem to have the best direction as a squad. Oftentimes, their attacks could have been characterized as aimless. And they also had significant problems closing out matches, something that it seems like the Sonics have had somewhat recently. Now that Canadian is off the squad, obviously, it's incredibly impressive that Luke, with 0 pro game experience, has stepped in and performed the way that he has. And it is honestly a miracle that he is still able to keep step with a couple players in this league. But SSG seem to be back to their old ways. And XSET is doing a delightful job of punishing it.
Such old ways, too. That's a major throwback. What was it? The Raleigh Major, when that whole thing was happening, Canadian was setting up for that team. I don't remember. It's so long ago. It was like an eternity. But they do, like, SSG, and I feel weird to say it, but they do really feel they look like their old slow selves. It's like they lost their running legs. It's very strange. What? That was weird. Whatever.
Something is going on.
Something's on this server. Anyway, the take for SSG has taken 2 minutes and then some, but they have construction control, and now that's their platform to attack the site. Here comes the EE1D, or here comes the EE1D to open up the wall, deny the bandit tricking or the rotation. Where is XSET? They're all very far back. They've got 2 roamers downstairs. This is an odd setup, and with 35 seconds left, it's still a 5v5.
Once again, slow. SSG are nowhere really close to being able to make any of this happen. Look at this. Evil Eyes still up. XSET ready and waiting for them to just charge on in. EE1D goes off. That will expend all of Thinking Nade's lion charges, so his gadget is now gone. All he is a gun and the ability to just Surge head first into a bomb site. Drip thinks he's got one at the breach, but he turns his back to it, gets a kill onto the window, faults 2 of his own. 5 seconds left. There's still 7 people alive. Finally, the bodies start to hit the floor. Luke season, maybe? Well, SSG decides we don't need that diffuser down. No, sir. We'll just kill everybody from XSET that walks our way. A successful attack from Space Station here on Cash and CCTV. SSG are 1 step closer to tying this first half as we head into the final round of XSET.
Hey, you know the really funny thing about that one, Parker? The
What?
Okay, I know XSET expects SSG to be slow, but the problem that round was that XSET didn't expect SSG to be that slow. Like, we could tell looking at the top down that SSG wasn't even nearly in a position to execute with like 20 seconds left. But at that point, Thomas had already used all of his gas canisters. They weren't necessary. They didn't need to delay because SSG wasn't set up to execute. But he had already used all of his gas canisters, so no plant denial. And then, the worst part, XSET starts leaving their safe positions to walk into the cutoffs that SSG set up with 15 seconds left. Again, they don't need to do that. It puts them in the disadvantage, but that's what we saw. Such a weird situation to say, oh, XSET knows SSG is going to be slow. But they didn't know they were going to be that slow. And it works out for SSG that round because XSET effectively fall on their own sword. Oh, what a strange round.
Could also just been a bit of restlessness. XSET's inability to get a pick early allowed SSG's full might to hit the bomb site and win whatever engagements may come.
That too.
You know, after the EU1D went off, there was a smoke tossed out, but other than that, there wasn't a lot of utility expended by either of these teams. It had all been used earlier on. Utility from the attackers to clear out construction, target the wall. Frankly, I don't know where a lot of the explosives went because it still certainly looked like there were Banshees in play. We saw 2 Evil Eyes still in play. So where are these explosives from Fultz going? That's the real question here. Where are the grenades from Rampy going? There's no nade kills that I saw.
Yeah.
Maybe it was used off-site, but nothing that we saw from our perspective. Anyway.
Another thing. Oh, go ahead.
Another
thing to consider is that we are seeing, like in that last round, as you mentioned, it's the lack of aggression. Well, we saw it early. Where is it gone? Here it seems to be in this round at least, as Creators is taking a disadvantageous fight in secret. That was not the play. I said aggression. That was definitely not the play. With the first kill, SSG are looking pretty good, and they're also going to get the platform opened up. XSET have to correct course here.
Well, they've opened up one of the walls leading into the bomb site. Another cash defense for XSET as they will try to get back onto the bomb site, though they find themselves down one of their brothers. Fallen comrade of Creators. Creators actually having the worst day so far in terms of stats on this entire team. This is the player who entered, usually getting the lion's share of frags for his team. And Creators on attack is quite good at making space, but obviously they're not going to attack, at least not yet. Filthy is also down for the count as the SSG War Machine seems to be fired up as Rampy gets a little bit of an assist from a drone, and his entry over towards Jim allows him to clear that portion of the map. And that's exactly where SSG's lineup and stack up is going to be. Butters could end up isolated here inside of Garage. His line of sight will be through the soft wall, opened up in such a way that he can govern over the doorway into both cash and construction. But he will be exposed as he can just be shot away from that position as well. He can be pressured from anybody who's playing on Garage, or rather, on the balcony outside. First kill from XSET comes out. It's Rampy to fall to Thomas inside of cash. And an EU1D will be burned with a toxic canister lingering in the doorway. Thomas can blanket that area for another couple seconds, but it looks like he might have overthrown it. Not particularly good for XSET at this moment. Butters is pushed up onto the catwalk looking through that opening. He'll watch the cash window, the CCTV window, begin to fire away tons of ammunition for him to do so, and he can just hold down the trigger here for an entire 8 seconds that is remaining in the round. Thomas, another pick. SSG losing out as Thomas just goes massive. He gets the down, but not the completion. It's XSET to take it, and they win the first half 4-2.
I mean, honestly, that's kind of hilarious. Okay, beautiful stuff from XSET, but also not, though. The early aggression was really poorly calculated. We have one in Master, we have one by Secret. Why not double up on that? Why not play in a position together where you can refrag each other? And I'm thinking to myself, okay, those 2 early kills, surely SSG completes this round. Surely. But then, they don't get the construction wall open. It's just a mute jammer, but they still can't get the wall open. Why? They spent too much time clearing the roamers. Oh my gosh. Even the slightest little bit of delay, 10, 15 seconds from the roamers on XSET side seems to make all the difference for SSG's attacks. It's kind of wild. So they can't open the construction wall. You're looking at some really ruthless bottlenecks for SSG to push through when they execute onto the site. And even though they've got the platform wall open up, it's just, again, those are not good fights. Then on top of that, to add insult to injury, the smoke on the server window, really poorly placed. It happens. There it is. You know, life moves on. First half, 4-2 XSET. But I will say, like, with these bans, I think XSET could have done better. And SSG are not in a guaranteed lose situation right now, going on to the second half.
10 seconds to insertion. 5 seconds left.
Some mighty fine performance from XSET so far, at least from what we've seen. Always hard to tell with these matchups, especially when things go according to plan. I mean, SSG versus XSET. XSET is a better team on defense than they are on attack. They start on a map that is good for defense. They win 4 of the 2 rounds. That is expected. That is bare minimum. It would be significantly worse for XSET if they had struggled there and SSG had drawn even on that first half. Wonder if the winds of change are blowing. And XSET will prove their worth on attack because SSG's attacks have been quite slow, but their defenses have looked all right.
Is that a reference from that other game? I feel like
I actually don't know what you're talking about. I wasn't making a reference there. He didn't get it, did he?
it sounded like a reference to a character from a different game that you've been playing a lot recently. And I swear I've heard it before. But I don't remember who exactly. I want to say it's the bird that has a name that starts with an A, but I don't remember. Anyway, SSG, roam upstairs. They invented this roam. They're going to commit to it this round. Seems to be working so far in terms of delay. We were talking about how slow SSG were on the executions. Now it's XSET's turn to use time wisely. See if they can manage it. SSG, they invented the roam. They also are typically the type of team that are going to fall back at the halfway mark. They'll leave one lurk here or roam. That's going to be Fultz, Bosco to support to give info and shoot drones. Fultz might have been droned out in the bathroom. He might not have been droned out. Looks like he will have been spotted by that drone. Surely he's been spotted by that drone. Surely it checked the corner. We'll find out. Oh,
You'd hope so.
Yep. It did.
Yeah.
And there you go. Leadoff kill for XSET.
Creators just walks right in. That's, by the way, the scene of the crime from where Creators was killed by Fultz previously. This time, just the roles were reversed. So there's your opening pick. 1 minute to go. Bit of a slow round from XSET as well. 45 seconds remaining in the round. Thomas is still upstairs. Drip is still on the roof of the building. They're going to have to make a translation here. A transition happen quite fast. Take control and charge into this first floor. Hatches, by the way, all still needing to be opened up. The filthy Selmas will very likely be on the walls of church. As a toxic canister gets tossed down, Filthy's only able to get a single Selma in that direction. Doorway is barricaded inside a kitchen. You know that if there's any intel, that SSG doesn't need to sweat it. Butters wanders in towards the back of Arsenal. He's got some support. In fact, 3 players from XSET are all going to take up this area as Thomas emerges from Dirt Tunnel. Everybody falling for SSG. They're not able to get back into the bomb site. Luke's season is in full swing, but it ends a little early. Round goes in favor of XSET. They're up 5-2.
My God, that was beautiful, Parker. The execution there seemed to have no good opportunities. And then XSET just pulls one out of nowhere, out of thin air. The execution in blue, dedicated and committed to by the entire team. No one was useless that round. Butters with great entry. Thomas came in from dirt. He put in good work on the cover. The plant behind B3. Everything's working out. You still have blue control. SSG doesn't throw a counterpunch at all. I thought that was going to be an SSG round. I thought, okay, the time being what it is, drops aren't opened. I don't even think the church wall got opened. I don't know if that Selma detonated. There might have been a mute jammer there, and I don't think that XSET did anything about the mute jammer on the wall. So XSET goes to the one place that seems to be vulnerable that we didn't even see until the very end. Blue. Great call. Whoever made the shot call there for XSET, 10 out of 10. Speaking of 10, by the way, Thomas with 10 kills is going to go into Montaigne. That's a little funny.
They call him 10 Bomb Tom.
I like it.
Yeah, I've heard people call him that before.
Well, Tommy's popping off, and he's going to bring a shield because he is the ultimate team player. It doesn't matter how many kills he has. Is it happening, Parker?
Is what happening?
Well, I guess they can't really get anything out of it.
Attackers must locate and defuse a bomb.
That's cool, though.
I have no idea what you're talking about,
That's
by the
okay,
way.
don't worry about it. Nobody knows what I'm talking about.
Okay.
I'm here to be
happen?
indecipherable, Parker.
Is what
I
gonna
am
happen?
here to be indecipherable. An enigma. No one can ever know. That's my edge. They call me Edgelord.
A bomb has been located.
Anyway, SSG will once again give another crack at this top floor bomb site. It's been a rough week for Spacestation so far, at least here in the Super Week. A devastating 7-8 loss to Mirage. Devastating and heartbreaking were the terms that the players used to describe that one. They beat Beast Coast, though, yesterday. 7-5. Beast Coast are their peers, and SSG actually ends this Super Week playing against the only teams that are below them in the standings. Picking up 3 points over Beast Coast is obviously ideal. Let's see if they can do the same to XSET. Right now, well, they've got quite a hill to climb. And I am curious to see how XSET uses Tommy on this Monte.
Oh, are they going to get a chance to? Oh, Fultz almost got that flank off, but he might get the Ash. Yes, he will. A freebie for Fultz as there's no gun to cover. The Montaigne will be aware of the situation now, though, and the attackers might throw a counter punch. Rampy Fultz still downstairs, but nope. No counter punch to be thrown. Nobody in a position to do it. Tommy, again, he just doesn't have a gun to fight that fight. Luckily, it's only one casualty for XSET, and they do have the wall open. So there's a play that can be made in this round. And especially with a whole minute left, that's plenty of time.
Well, that's obviously... it's a bit deflating for the attackers now. But can they make a course correction? I mean, it's entirely possible. Though more unlikely, as now Butters is removed from action. Thomas is going to continue to charge at Bosco, but he unshields at the wrong moment. No distraction from Filthy necessary. Almost a flawless round for SSG. They still have it. It's still in their clutches. 50 seconds left for XSET to try to accomplish something. They haven't really been able to do too much so far this round. Somebody at the top of blue over in the commonly known as secret spot of the map. Once affectionately known as Adam spot. Drip is just moments away from being able to get into the A-bomb site, but he's got a fight or two to take before he gets there. Pre-fire from Filthy. Fultz tries to swing again, but he cannot be outdueled. Filthy doesn't have to worry about his flank now, as a smoke will go off to cover the garage. Drip tries to burn any ADSs that might be in his path. Filthy up the stairs, Nitro Cell overhead. He's not able to shoot it in time, and Luke finishes off Drip. Luke season, by the way, back in swing. Okay. SSG takes the round. It's 5-3 for XSET still.
Great defense there from SSG. They looked super rock solid. The attack for XSET was a little bit confused. What happened there was the strategy that XSET wanted to execute just couldn't happen because they lost their Ash right here. And that death completely destroyed the execute. Butters right after was trying to rotate to assist, but it just didn't work out. XSET wanted to use their soft destruction from below to try and dislodge some players, put some work into the site. It's your Ash, that's your Zofia. Again, they're the first to die. Then after that, they wanted to use Montaigne to push into Raptors, which what they eventually did do, but with a disadvantage already. And Bosco was just better in that fight. So essentially every prong of the execute from XSET, and it was an execute, there was a strategy there, every prong just failed. So, I mean, great job to SSG, completely countering that play. I especially like the roam that they pulled out, the double roam by Bar, forcing the initiative downstairs. SSG can learn from their own mistakes and get aggressive. And when they do, it's pretty scary.
Struggling to pick up on the theme of this map so far. There's no real ebb and flow, or I mean, with the ebb and flow going on, there's no real consistency outside of both teams being just not as well coordinated on their attacks as can be. Some of that obviously plays into the map, but other than that, I mean, it's been a mixed bag in regards to how teams are able to pull off executes and the pacing of that. The one thing that SSG was most proficient at was never letting a team dictate the tempo of matches they played in, or at least making sure that it only happened now and then rather than an entire matchup. Now it seems very often that SSG is at the mercy of whatever team they're playing against, and on that first half, it was definitely XSET who seemed to be setting the tempo in most of those rounds.
Well, now that the roles have swapped, it seems like SSG is doing a good job of setting that tempo, as we're talking about it. A big part of this, again, is going to be those attacker bans. It's the Maverick and the Thatcher. All your counter denial is gone. That makes you have to work around what the enemy, what the defenders do as the attacking team. Now, we are going to get the cash wall opened up. Bosco, though, will punish XSET. A kill on the balcony. I think that might have been a long angle played through the window. It also could have been a run out. Didn't actually see it. But either way, early frag, and SSG put themselves up in this round. Now, Bosco only has 4 kills, but they are very impactful ones. We saw them in the last round. We're seeing them now here in this round. These are meaningful frags that he's getting, and he's putting XSET in a bad spot.
Bomb located by attackers.
An opening pick again on creators. He's having a rough game on entry. We saw in the Chalet matchup yesterday how proficient creators was at being able to make space for his team and have follow-ups come through. Somebody else is going to have to don that mantle for the remainder of this matchup because creators is very cold at the moment. What are you doing, Thomas? Not understanding Rampy's position inside of construction after Rampy had just been engaged in a gunfight. Was there no call that was made to the remaining players of XSET that Rampy was in that area? That's the question that I need to ask.
Smokes in the hallway for Filthy, but he's alone on this push, and he's got lots of information from the defenders calling him out. Repel from Drip is not netting anything other than applying pressure to Fultz and Bosco, who are trying to play in the site. Stuns go out into the bathroom. Filthy, again, looking for an opportunity to push. If any of these XSET players die, the round will fall apart because they're all spread out. Every one of them must see success for this to be a round for the attack. Meanwhile, SSG are in great positions to just wait out the remainder of this round. Down goes Thomas, and that's all of your construction pressure gone. There goes all of your balcony pressure. Now it's going to be the planter. Drip will drop, and now he actually physically can't win this round. Can't find all 3 of them, that's for sure, and he can't get to the site. So, SSG, another successful defense, and they bring this within 1 round of a tied game.
Again, another puzzling attack that just stalled out. It just stalls out. Now, I will say, this time around, we have seen Frost become a staple of this bomb site, being run so often on Jim. Now, we talk about this and why Frost gets brought. A lot of players speculate that when you have a Frost, number one, there's a lot of stall potential for the attackers. They have to drone out the location of the Frost mats, and they have to do so oftentimes in the bomb site. If you are placing a Frost mat down under a window that is in the bomb site, it is not a given that you're actually going to get the location of that mat. When you're jumping in the final 20 seconds, the same as Capcan traps on doors, you tend to not think about a welcome mat being underneath you. And if you're going to roam as a Frost and babysit your Frost mat under a window, the attacker that needs to pressure you is going to have to decide whether they want to take a gunfight with you or shoot the mat first. Because even if they kill you, they're down for the count in the Frost mat and they need to be recovered. And depending on where it is, it could be very easy cleanup work for another defender to finish you off. At that case, you trade out. And it depends on who you're trading out. If you're trading out a Frost, once her mats are down, she's usually just a good gun. Or semi-good gun, depending on your view on the 9mm.
It's like low recoil. It's good
There you go.
DPS, all things considered. And it's got a low rate of fire, but it also has no recoil. High magazine capacity. And at 1.5. I mean, what's not to like? I mean, just the rate of fire, really. And I know that's big in Siege, but it's a good gun statistically. Anyway, so... okay, here's my running theory on this matchup, Parker. We're seeing the same attacks from SSG that we've been seeing from them throughout the stage with the lack of Canadian, and that is slow attacks, right? Bad shot calling as well. Not great overall attack strategy, whatever. They lose the first half 4-2, but now we're on the second half. Again, these bans play a large part in this. The defense is definitely heavily favored. Now, it doesn't matter how slow your execution is as the defense. Well, I mean, it does matter, but it matters for the inverse reason on attack. So it's like, it's a good thing now that SSG are on defense. They don't really need to think so much about these rounds, and what that means for them is that they can rest on their insane mechanical skill. They don't need to play outside of their comfort zone to accommodate a position in an execution. All SSG needs to do is just set up the way they know they're going to set up. They practiced a million times. They're literally, again, this is a strat that they invented. They're doing right now. And take the gunfights, win the gunfights, which SSG can do. They're very capable of that. So this is, you know, this might be the full return here for SSG now that they're on the second half. We'll see.
They are closing this gap over the 2 rounds they've taken. The timeout from XSET might help here. We'll see exactly what it does. The timeout from Spacestation, well, so far, since taking it, they've won 4 of the 7 rounds that have been played. Now, there was, of course, a side swap in there, so it's hard to see how well that timeout helped. But it's SSG's first crack at the bottom floor. And XSET have supposedly cleared out the top floor. It sure looks like they have, at least for now. And it looks like they've cleared out most of that first floor, too. But they haven't cleared out Gym. So no, Rampy and Thinking Nade flying under the radar, making it back to the bomb site. All 5 members of SSG will be quite safe in that particular area down below, and we'll just wait out the storm. Just as I say that, it seems that there was a tag team match, as it's been Fultz who's been tagged out, and now he will go on to the roam.
Nade to get the defenders off the mirror window, as Selma to open it up. Bosco will land a C4. Nice push from Bosco as well, but Creator shuts him down. He's alone, however, and he's got to find 4 more. It's not gonna happen. Fultz will kill him from behind, and SSG take another defensive round. This is a tied match.
SSG showing that this is why defense on Clubhouse is so crucial. XSET didn't really waste a lot of time there. That was actually one of the faster rounds that we've seen. They thought that they droned out second floor. They immediately translate to droning onto the first floor. And it was actually quite smart by SSG to peel their 2 roamers off, the Mozzie and the Mute, coming back to the bomb site, tagging in the Vigil. You just heard me. That was me tagging him in. And Fultz then moving off. Now, the thing is, and this is often overlooked by a lot of the more casual viewers, is that Vigil's ability goes up and down. So if you are droning, you don't know if Vigil is above you. You have no idea. Could he be on the same floor as you? He could be inches away from your drone, or he could be on the floor above, and then that means even more drone work. That strategy from SSG, to me, wasn't just to put the Vigil on a flank, but to also further waste time. We talk about how when you drone something out, it's only effective for 5, 10, maybe 15 seconds at absolute most. Usually it's 5 seconds tops. You drone out the entire top floor, you go back onto drone and you see a Vigil unaccounted for. That gives you pause before you hit the bomb site. XSET hit the bomb site anyway, they got punished for it. They tried to barrel in through the smoke, couldn't do it. They didn't have control of blue effectively. They didn't have control of the hatch that they needed to drop from either. They didn't have control of secret, and they lost the fight in every single way. They were a little bit too hasty to push the bomb site. It did not work out for them.
They also tried to whip out the same strategy that they brought that one time they actually did win that attack on the bottom floor, where they...
It was against Mirage?
No, in this match, where they...
Well, XSET also did that against Mirage, where XSET read into Mirage's off-site play and just rushed into the bomb site, and they lost. Well, they ended up winning the round, but they lost the matchup to Mirage, but that rush strat actually worked that round.
It also worked for them earlier in this match, where they just did the blue execute But it was, I mean, at that point, I think it was like kind of a desperation sort of thing. I don't know. What's certain here is defense favored. SSG are not looking like they're giving up many. They're going to give up many rounds here. That's the main thing that I'm detecting.
Bomb located by attack.
They're not really losing a lot of these positional gunfights. So like Bosco, for example, I have full confidence that Bosco is going to win his fight on top of Raptors. He's got the FMG. He's got a 1.5 on it. It's a good gun. And he's going to be able to take those head gunfights. There's a Capitao this time instead of a Montaigne. And that he essentially has the same effect. He's going to try and dislodge the player on Raptors using his firebolts instead of the shield. They also still have to deal with these roamers that are out there trying to delay the round for as long as possible. XSET have a tall task here ahead of them.
Bosco positioned up here running that FMG, by the way. I think Bosco was one of the first that we ever saw using it. It's going to give him some good fragging power as it has minimal recoil and it has very good DPS. So she talked about, but one of the developers, I believe he went on the Logic Bomb podcast and said that in terms of stats, that FMG is actually quite a strong weapon, deceptively so. Bosco lingers a little bit too much in the smoke. We want to see the FMG in action, but he's going to have to dance around some bullets in the process. Another smoke will go off, and Bosco is as good as dead. Thomas using his gadget effectively. The opening pick for XSET comes with a minute left on the clock.
Yeah, if you're wondering why Bosco just sat there in the fire, it's because it could be very deceptive. The fire's radius spreads after it's placed, so he thought he was safe, and he barely had any cover, so he couldn't force a rotate. Fultz will get Thomas, though, as he attempts to entry in through garage. Fultz playing in oil pit. That's really good positioning there to support the hold for Raptors. Somebody has to do it now that Bosco's dead. Rampy elsewhere will go down to Filthy, though, so XSET regain the lead that they had earlier in the round. The big problem for the attack is time, and the fact that Fultz is still in oil pit. Creators could be taken down from below. The call comes out, but ooh, Fultz does not peek and does not get the kill on the player ascending the garage staircase. 16 seconds remaining. XSET need to push the site. It's now or never. They'll go for a smoke plant on the breach. Luke gets one on the entry. C4 will deny that plant. It needs to be retrieved. The diffuser has to be planted. On 000, it's not going to happen. And just being alive is enough. Space Station will take that round. And match point.
This matchup is just it is puzzling me all across the board, and I'm sure you probably feel the same way.
I'm sorry, did you ask me a question? Production was talking to me.
I said, Michael, this matchup is puzzling me, and I'm sure you feel the same way.
Yes, I definitely do. It's a confusing mess. And I don't really know what to think about it, because where on the one hand you're seeing some good stuff from SSG on defense, their attack was abysmal. XSET, on the other hand, we've seen like 1 or 2 magical rounds for them on attack, but generally it's pretty abysmal. A big part of this, of course, is going to be the map and the operator bans, but I feel like we're harkening back to that too much. I think there's a larger issue here that, you know, kind of stems away from the operators in the map. I think a big part of it is just both teams' ability to coordinate their attacks. That's it.
It's very clear that SSG is in this phase where they've got some work to do, and I imagine once that transfer window opens back up, I'm going to guess that they're probably not anticipating keeping Luke on that roster full time. He was announced as a sub, an emergency sub, by the way. Finding an IGL, well, that's not necessarily all that easy. They don't just grow on trees.
IGLs only sometimes work for some rosters. You can have an IGL. Yeah, you can have somebody on a team be completely useless as a player, and then they find themselves on another squad, and then suddenly they flourish. I think Yeti's a good example of that. When he found the roster he's on right now, he really started to just explode with potential. The Canadian was the same when he joined this team. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
There are a couple ex-IGLs that are available and on the market. The one IGL that immediately, or somebody who has helped IGL in the past that comes to mind, would be Slashug, formerly of OXG. Bio is also on the market as well. He, in many ways, was IGLing for OXG. I've heard Easily has done some shot calling in the past. he obviously retired, but I mean, that wouldn't be the first time that we've seen players come out of retirement. So there are players out there, and there's also the opportunity to pick somebody up from CL if you happen to look at some of these Challenger League teams and think that there is a promising IGL. It's not usually what you're going to want to do. You're usually going to want to go with a more experienced hand, somebody who's seen the most competitive environment and can call around it. But these are decisions that are well above my pay grade.
I really quickly want to talk about how this setup is nice. I like it a lot. It's a faux cash hold with a true cons hold, and it's pretty neat because the shield is the main defensive strategy, but the counter from XSET is in. Down goes the single wall, and as the single wall opens up, Drip on far repel is able to get an angle over the shield to take down Thinking Nade. So I liked the setup from Spacestation, but it has been well and truly countered by XSET, and that might be the opening that they need for this round.
Thinking Nade down. Evil Eyes for the moment will be frozen. Remainder of the 1 minute round. Only good for intel or surveillance. Mobility to zap, and they can't be moved. Even though it was talked about by the devs as something that will be coming in future seasons, there is no ability to influence or affect your gadgets from the grave. It was 20 seconds since we started talking here has been XSET rotating now onto the balcony outside of Gym. Rampy's on a deep roam. Saw him running down below. He could possibly catch up and do some damage here to Thomas, who's looking for him. Maybe scare him off with that sledgehammer breaking some of the floor. Though they are trailing, SSG are currently sitting on match point. If we go to overtime, the teams will only get 2 points for a win and 1 point for a loss, so each of them will walk away with 1. Luke's season, though, well, Butter's gone. Thomas refrags on to Fultz. Filthy watching the stairs. Rampy's going to have a hard time getting up here. Luke, another kill onto the board. He and Rampy are going to have to do some work. Rampy wins his gunfight against Filthy, and now he's in a pivotal position playing around this bathroom wall. He's going to go downstairs and try to do something. Thomas taking damage. Craters falls off the plant. Can SSG deny this in time? That's the real question. Thomas focuses over towards logistics. Craters will now swing. Luke gets another. That's a triple kill for him. And Rampy cleans up. No victory for XSET in the post plant. SSG is perfect. Luke and Rampy working together will give SSG the matchup and 3 big points over XSET.
Huge win for SSG, and those 3 points will go a long way for them. They wouldn't have gone anywhere for XSET. XSET is solidified their position at the bottom of the scoreboard, and they did that before this match even happened. So Space Station, with 3 points, that puts them at 12. That's a comfortable place to be in the middle of the pack technically right now, but there's still time for that to change in the rest of our play day. We still have 2 more matches after this. I gotta say, Parker, my takeaway from that match, absolute mess. SSG still has their godlike mechanical skill on all of their roster, but their attacks need some work. Their coordination needs some work. Same thing for XSET. Really, they need to work a lot on their coordination. It was just messy. I'm glad that SSG got the win and proved that they are capable. But I don't know, it was a weird match to watch, Parker.
A very confusing one for us to break down as we were live, but I'm assuming that our star-studded team of analysts will do a significantly superior job and better job at being able to go through it all. SSG don't finish atop the standings as many people would have speculated just a couple weeks ago. Before Canadian announced his retirement, I think most people would have given SSG odds-on favorites to finish out the stage in first, or at least close to the top. How the mighty have fallen, that seems to be the story for SSG, and you're absolutely right. It's a lack of coordination and almost like a directionless push on most attacks. That is way, way too slow. As for XSET, well, they're a brand new team that came up to this level, and it's been a rough entry for them. They've only got 1 win, 2 overtime losses, and 5 regulation losses. That is a rough one for them. So they will they'll go back to the drawing board, and we'll see what they can come up with in stage 2, but they were already locked in for dead last at the start of the day, and they are not moving at all, and no additional points to help either. We'll have an interview ready after the break with our analysts and our host Veli, but before we get there, some commercials. Don't touch that browser. We'll be right back.